We'll record to the cloud. Okay, here we go.
Okay,
Part
welcome
two.
back.
Ready.
Yes. All right, we are on the WJ, having attended the training of looking deeper at the dyslexia evaluation tools. This was the area that she mentioned. She put the percentiles in that when we get to later, they're not there. So, she mentioned how important it was to make sure that everyone understood the numbers. So you may need to add in some of the others. Some people understand it by age. We were taught not to use the grade level versus the age. It's more understandable with the age for us and probably for parents, more grade level. Auditory processing GA was drilled on to make sure we understood this in relation to dyslexia, and then how the WJ had the cognitive and the academic. This seemed to be the preferred. I asked my campus, and it's not what they use all the time.
What did they say?
So, yeah, they mentioned a couple different tests, probably because we're high school level. And
Mm-hmm.
they said this was more elementary. But when I look at ARD paperwork and FIEs, WJ is all over it.
Yes, frequently. The feedback I've gotten since this symposium is within the district that I'm in. They do not have, obviously, nobody does, the WJ on iPad. And so a lot of the testing and assessment is on the iPad, is what we have the opportunity to do. And kids are more engaged if they're on the iPad. So I know that sometimes lends itself to helping the decision making process for
Yeah.
some of the diagnosticians I know. Um, just because obviously you're going to get more realistic scores if the child is engaged and wanting to
Yeah.
give you their best work, right? So,
Well, and this is a technology filled world. All of our kids have one on one devices. I
mhm.
want to say they said CSAP. Does that sound right? Hold
uh,
on.
for the
I'm pulling up
evaluation process
the
or for the
answer
subtests.
for the one of the evaluation subtests. But that doesn't sound right because they told me I should attend that training to help make sense of some of this.
Yeah, the CSEP is the evaluation process.
So I'm like, can I get more information? But again, she's off campus. Yeah, and CTOP, there's the other one.
Yes.
But I thought that was more elementary based.
I don't know a lot about CTOP. I know in our district, the CTOP is only given by the dyslexia therapists. So I
Yeah.
know it's kind of that partnership collaboration. So I
Well,
don't
and
know a lot about the
because,
CTOP.
yeah, mine is kind of split. I mean, we have them on campus, and the people that have their own dedicated campus are able to do the testing. But my poor person is split. So the district person comes in and does her testing.
And I do appreciate the teamwork. I've seen that across districts.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So I was able to show this to her, and she was impressed with the way they set it up all the way down here into, where is it? C top two. There was one that yeah, right here, your FIE example. The layout of this, she said she would hand it to all her case managers and just show them so that it's easier for the parents to understand. And I don't
Yes.
think there's the other one. Um,
Yeah.
I think she mentioned if we reach out to her that we could get the blank forms, and I can recreate that. All right. I think we need to go to talk about the next one.
Yes.
Um,
Dysgraphia. If
oh,
you want to stop sharing, I can share that one.
here's
Oh,
the other one she gave us.
I was going to ask you. Yes.
This was the really, really cool one. This is the evaluation working profile. I've already printed this and put it in my case management folder.
Yeah.
Um, we did not have, we had the GORT, we don't have the other one. We do have KTEA and the Wyatt.
Hmm.
I didn't know what this one was, but they told me it is Spanish, the bacteria.
Yeah. Bacteria.
So that,
Bacteria is it's the cognitive version of the Woodcock Johnson, but
thank you so much.
It's Woodcock Munoz.
Okay.
So it's
That
the same
makes,
person.
okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
That
But
makes
it's the
so much
same.
more
Yeah.
sense now. Do you know what the Amira RN is?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay.
Most
That's
of
one
those look
I,
familiar to me, but I'm not
mm,
familiar with that one.
I mean, I know the map letter and
Hmm.
the Canaan. We still give that at our level.
Yes. Yeah. We take
So
MAP is a consistent source of data for our district
Mhm.
as well.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and switch to you.
Okay. Yes, that working profile form, I I have found on that topic that the district that I work in, I've had the opportunity to observe with multiple diagnosticians, and there is some level of autonomy in the way that they collect their data or track their data or go through the process. um, there's fidelity, but there's also some autonomy in how they track it. And I was observing a diagnostician who had her own form of, okay, if I'm thinking through what's the area of need or what am I focusing on, which test options do I have, kind of like that working profile. But she had her own that she's built on for years, and what a wealth of knowledge. So I'm very
Yes.
impressed. I did ask her to share it with me. I have it in my email somewhere. I can send it to you. But just having
Awesome.
their own working profile, and the ones, if they have a preference for different tests or they appreciate this one for this reason, just having that there, so there's not, a required, and each kid needs something different, right? So they're focusing on a different
Completely.
area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that has been encouraging for me to see as well. So the one that I am going to be sharing is about dysgraphia, and the same concept as dyslexia. Okay, let me share it. This one. Let's hope. Can you see that?
Now I can, yes.
Perfect. Okay. So for me, knowing, and Jennifer, you already know this, but when I stepped out of the classroom after 7 years, I stayed home for a year, and that's when I started these classes for the certification program. And that was the year, like April, May timeframe is when we got the word that dyslexia was coming under the special education umbrella. So I was not active in a classroom in the beginning stages of that, all the growing pains of that. And so I feel like I've kind of missed some, like, a learning curve a little bit, if that makes sense. So dysgraphia also, I have been taking all of our classes and learning so much through TW, but also knowing there's so much more to learn. And this breakout I greatly appreciated, because it made it
Mhm.
very clear, like, this is the questions you go by. It's in the dyslexia handbook. It was very concrete, black and white. I greatly appreciated that. So um, dysgraphia, taking the guesswork out of identification. So just this presentation, and I just realized as I'm introducing this person, Stephanie Clark is the one who also did the cognitive processes that I was talking to you
Yes.
before we started this video, that I wish I had sat in on that one. That's the name that was on there. So it looks like she has her master's in education. She's a lead dyslexia therapist. She has her
Yes.
CALT, and she's an educational diagnostician. So lots of knowledge. If I remember correctly, she was the diagnostician. She had her dyslexia qualifications. And then as Garland has been embedding the two and kind of marrying the programs and bringing dyslexia under the special education umbrella, which I know that we'll talk about it later, so I don't want to ruin it, but the partnership with that, she has come over there's a group of diagnosticians who are also DTs. And so she is over that group within Garland. So she is
Mm.
the special education coordinator of dyslexia, and she is one of the administrators at the Dyslexia Training Center within Garland ISD. So that was encouraging, obviously super knowledgeable. I
Extremely.
appreciated, huh?
She was captivating, just absolutely captivating.
Yes, very engaging. So she, obviously objectives like what it is not, what areas need to be tested, how to interpret the data, and the keep it simple was what I appreciated the most. So this definition right here is what the keynote speaker also used. Same definition here. It's a specific learning disability that affects how easily children acquire written language and how well they use written language to express their thoughts. Um, Berninger, I believe is the name. That quote was used in the keynote. I don't know why I'm pointing over there, but the keynote speaker. The one that I appreciated was was this more specific definition? Freyerson et al. Is actually Scottish Rite.
Mhm.
So I appreciated that, like, close to home. I know the programming is phenomenal, so I know that I can put some weight on and really trust this definition as I'm learning the process. So dysgraphia is a developmental disorder manifested by illegible or inefficient handwriting, and I appreciated that combination of words due to difficulty with letter formation. It's a result of deficits in graphomotor and storing and retrieving orthographic codes. Secondary consequences may include problems with spelling and written expression. It's not solely due to lack of instruction, and it's not associated with other developmental or neurological conditions that impair or that involve motor impairment. So graphomotor functions, the visual hand-eye, the kinesthetic piece, the motor memory, the sequencing. So those being impacted, you're looking at like running out of space, inaccurate copying, lack of precision. So here is where she gave the very, like, this is what we're looking at. This is how it impacts. And then over reliance on visuals. You're paying too much attention to that visual feedback, impaired sense of finger, like you don't know where your fingers are, where they're writing, heavy pressure, tight grip, the slow
Mhm.
writing or copying, a lot of hesitation, the highly variable, like the letters aren't being formed the same. I'm going to make an A here and it looks totally different down here on the next line. A lot of strikeouts, erasing, retracing, all of that. So good, tangible things to look for when you're looking at writing. And then the word level. So just all of those pieces, the text conventions, word level, even the subword level, like in the in between. Um, so I appreciated like her breaking down the dysgraphia. Um, okay, this was the part I want to do some more digging on.
Okay.
Can be do not this one, this one. Okay, what dysgraphia is not. Something that she said that I believe her that Garland ISD believes this. I am interested to see if other districts' opinions differ. Okay. Um, evidence of damaged motor, great. Part of a developmental, so it's not part of a developmental disability that has fine motor deficits. So intellectual disability, I have been told that ID is the only thing that can that kind of supersedes autism.
Mm.
So if I read that correctly, she is saying that Garland ISD says that if you have autism, you don't have you don't have dysgraphia, or like what I'm seeing you
Yes.
write is due to your autism and not due to you having
And
dysgraphia.
yeah,
That
and I'm
is
starting to
surprising to
see
me.
that. Yeah, no, I'm starting to see that in the district I'm in too. And I mean, it's to go from I'm a dyslexic in District A to I'm not dyslexic in District B has been a huge issue for many of my students that transferred in.
That is interesting. The kind of almost a lack of fidelity, which is surprising within the state. At least our fidelity is not the same. I just want to dig into that a little bit more because
Yeah.
that surprises me. And not
But
that
that
she's
is
wrong. I
something,
don't know enough.
yeah.
I just want to ask some more questions. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh no, and I agree with you on that. And that's something that to me has changed. Because I used to be in your district for 10 years. And we had students that were labeled both, and I don't know if they still are now, but when the law changed and it automatically went under special ed now, dyslexia is when I saw this change happen. My
Mhm.
current district said, oh no, they're just autistic now. I'm
Hmm.
like,
Okay.
how? I mean, how do you lose a qualification?
Yeah. It is interesting. And it's one of those things like to follow up I know our question towards the end is like, what are we following up after this? This is one of the questions.
Oh, we're following up.
Um, but I also appreciated this concept of like the iceberg. So if you're seeing these things, right, like the heavy pressure we had discussed, the poorly formed letters, poor spacing, we're also seeing like you're seeing it because of the deficits in these areas. I appreciated the true and false. She did a lot of engaging check-ins. Um, this was interesting to me. Between 30 and 47% of those with dyslexia also have dysgraphia symptoms. I did mention that to a diagnostician that I was shadowing the other day, but apparently those percentages don't go the other way. Like the comorbidity rate is not the same. So
No.
that is interesting. Like you can have dysgraphia and not dyslexia, but that percentage of 30 to almost 50%, if you have dyslexia, you probably have dysgraphia in that area. Um, okay, so this is from the Texas Dyslexia Handbook. So then here's some, how do we test? I know she talked through a lot of this. Here's some observations, like you're looking at the body language for the student, and I know like 80% of language of communication is body language, is nonverbal.
Mhm.
So definitely keeping an eye on those things. This Let me see if I can find the
I love that. Good luck,
okay.
Charlie.
Yeah, yes. And then the writing samples. I appreciated these writing samples that she linked. I have saved those already. Okay, so these
I
questions, is this
Yeah, I
it?
wanted to follow up and see if there were writing samples I could find anywhere for older students.
Hmm.
Because as we were going through some of those samples, even though they were that low, I could still see the same attributes in some of my kids. And I teach ninth grade.
Okay. Well, I would wonder if it would even make a difference, like the change. You know what I mean?
It
Like if
might
I'm seeing
not.
it in
I
ninth
mean,
grade rather than second grade, I don't know that the grade matters as much as if you're seeing these
yeah,
things for
because
big
it
red
was
flags,
our
right?
first, the keynote that mentioned they're still getting kids diagnosed in secondary.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you get all the way to ninth, 10th grade and you're not have the diagnosis yet?
Yeah. I think the qualifications have changed a little bit, like in a lot of areas. It's not just
Mhm.
the dyslexia. So kind of what we were referring to. I do want to share these, but let's stop the recording and then I'll start again. So commercial break
Okay.
2.